Good morning, everybody! Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. I am King Pigley, your host here on Gaming Imperfectly, the most imperfect gaming channel slash movie review channel known to YouTube, or anywhere else for that matter. And thank you so much for being here with me, guys. I really appreciate it. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I am King Pigley, and I hope you like what you see. Thank you so much for being here. Man, guys, we are back with Division 2. I love Division 2. I don't know about you guys, but I absolutely adore this game. It has its problems, but what game doesn't? I mean, honestly, this is a wonderful game. It has so many features, so many things they improved upon from the first Division, which I also love. I know it's not for everybody, but you know what? I love this game, and I hope you enjoy watching me play a little bit of it, because what we're going to do today is go take a control point, and we're going to talk about a great movie that King Pigley loves, a movie from my youth. In the 90s, King Pigley was a young rapscallion then. I was 16, 17 years old. Holy smokes, can you believe it? King Pigley was actually 18 in 1995, guys. Holy God, it seems like so long ago. No one was alive back then. There was no one alive in 95. Humankind wasn't even around. It's true. King Pigley was there. I saw it all. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to go take this control point. Actually, you know what? Let's go take this little tiff they're having here and talk about The Crow. That's right, The Crow. James O'Barr wrote a graphic novel back in the 80s or early 90s called The Crow. And James O'Barr is a genius because The Crow is badass. Now, the graphic novel does differ from the movie, and but not so much that it matters, and ruined his vision of what The Crow is. Now, what is The Crow? Let's get into the movie. The movie stars Brandon Lee, rest him, wherever he may be, who was tragically killed making this movie. You can't not talk about The Crow and not talk about the elephant in the room, which is the great tragedy and the loss of life of Bruce Lee's son, Brandon, at such a young age, like his father. Unexpected, tragic loss, for sure. And let's just throw a grenade at these guys. See what... Oh, damn it, I hit the pole. Run, King Pigley, run! Oh, that just missed me. Did you see that? I like Mr. Magoo. I like the Mr. Magoo of Special Agents. I like throw grenades that bounce off poles and hit myself with it. What a ding-dong. So, anyway, guys, let's get into the review. Not only does The Crow star Brandon Lee, who is absolutely fantastic in it, it stars a slew of other people, including the guy from Commando that Arnold Schwarzenegger dropped off named Sully, who dropped him off the cliff, like held him up by one arm. Guy that drove the yellow Porsche. He's in it, but he plays one of the bad guys. Then you have the dude that played the cousin of Snape in Robin Hood, and Snape Alan Rickman, threatened to cut his heart out with a spoon. And he was like, cousin, why a spoon? He's like, it's dull, you twit, it'll hurt more. Well, the guy who was the cousin is in this. He plays the big bad guy. One of his henchmen is actually the dude that played the Candy Man. How do I get down there? This is infuriating. Maybe where it says jump down there, King Pigley. Good God. Sorry, guys, I'm a little scatterbrained today. Yeah, the guy that played Candyman is in this, you know. I mean, it's just got an all-star cast. It really does. And there's the guy that plays the cop that helps the Crow out. You know, just all in all, a great, great film. But let's get into it. So it starts out with, you have Eric Draven, who's a musician in a band, and his girlfriend, Shelley, and or fiance Shelley. Whatever. And they live in an apartment building, and apparently the building is kind of substandard living. They're having some problems, kind of like a slum, and they're dealing with slumlords and this, that, and the other, and they're raising complaints. And that doesn't go over too well with the dude, the cousin of the sheriff of Nottingham. You know, he's the real big bad guy in this, like the head gangster. And he's just all kinds of douchey, and he orders his thugs to go in there and take care of the problem, which is Eric Draven and his girlfriend Shelley. And, oh my God, it's a robot. And they do. They go in there, and horrifically they murder and they rape Shelley. And Eric Draven, well, they murder and they rape Shelley, and they beat her up really bad. Eric comes in, they murder Eric, they shoot him and throw him out a window. You know, just all kinds of bad stuff happens, and he dies. He absolutely dies. You know, there's no happy beginning, there's no happy story here. If you're looking for that, this is not the movie for you. Unfortunately, but that's how the movie starts. But you don't see that initially. You don't see exactly what happened until after the fact. The way it works is that after about a year of being dead, Eric Draven comes back from the dead on Devil's Night, which is kind of like Halloween in this movie, to seek revenge on those that hurt him and Shelley. It says retrieve the key. I don't see a key. Aha. There's a key. I knew there was a key around here somewhere. It says get something else. Aha, gear stash. Don't mind if I do.
Supplies nearby.
Dude, we crushed that, guys. You see that? We crushed that. So, all-star cast, yes. And the way it works is once he's back, you know, he's a ghost. I don't know. The Crow is kind of like a ghost story, mixed with a zombie. You know, I don't know. He's an intelligent ghost that re-inhabits his own corpse. It's a really strange premise, but it's really cool because it's exactly what it is. Eric Draven died, and then his ghost re-inhabits his corpse, digs its way out of the grave, and then goes on a killing spree of all the people that did wrong by him and his girlfriend. Great movie. And one by one, guys, you know, when he comes back, you know, he's just badass. And when he comes back, you know, he one by one, he goes after the guys, you know. And most notably, I think one of the greatest scenes is when he fights one of the bad guys named Tintin. And Tintin has these knives, you know, and he sees the Crow, and they start fighting in this alleyway. And it's raining, and it's dark, and it's gritty, and it's just a really, really great fight scene. And you know, Tintin at one point in time, you know, tells... Eric Draven, the Crow, you know, calls him a murderer. He says, murder. Says, let me tell you about murder. It's fun. It's easy. You gonna learn all about it. Such a great line in a movie and such a great scene. Of course, he didn't realize who he was dealing with. And, Eric Draven sets him straight. The Crow sets him straight. And that was the end of Tintin. But such a wonderful film. I am not going to discuss the shooting of Brandon Lee because it's kind of morbid, guys, and it was just a tragic accident. I don't know what Brandon Lee would have gone on to do in acting in his career. His career was very young at the time. He had done a few action movies that were kind of like B films. He really hadn't done a whole heck of a lot when it comes to movies. He certainly hadn't really done anything of great note up to that point in time. The Crow really sealed his deal as an actor, but it's also kind of, in my opinion, skewed. Because even though I do believe Brandon Lee to be great in that movie, it's not necessarily truth, if you will, because death has a way of clouding certain things. You know, that the whole idea... Is there nobody here at this control point? Apparently not. Death has a funny way of creating nostalgia. And nostalgia has a funny way of clouding the truth. You know, the fact of the matter is that Brandon Lee might have been a crap actor. We will never know. But The Crow is certainly not a crap movie, and he did an amazing job in it for the time that he was in it. There's a lot of misconceptions about what scene he died in and this, that, and the other. Number one, they didn't keep the scene that he died in. It is not in the movie. That is a urban legend, that the scene in which he died is in the film. That is not true, guys. And why would anybody want to see that? I mean, nobody. I certainly don't want to see Brandon Lee get shot and killed. But the person responsible for shooting Brandon Lee, the actor responsible for shooting Brandon Lee, was the guy that played Fun Boy, and that is truth. And that poor guy went on to not really have much of a career in Hollywood. He really was kind of messed up by this, and rightly so. I mean, he killed a man, and it's not like it was war. It's a Hollywood film. So as the movie progresses, and spoiler alert, guys, by the way, I'm really bad about that. Here we are 10 minutes into the movie, and I'm talking about spoiler alert. I really haven't said anything that is too big of a spoiler. So if you don't want to know any more about this movie, just want to go see it for yourself, go see it for yourself. I recommend owning it. It's in my collection. I think it should be in everybody's collection because it is an iconic movie from the 90s. It's groundbreaking in a lot of ways. It did a lot of things that hadn't been done. It's prior to the whole superhero genre, which, again, you can count The Crow as a superhero because it did come from a comic book. It did come from a graphic novel. But it is, it's before the superhero craze. And, the big thing about, one of the things I really love about The Crow is the soundtrack. I mean, holy crap. You have 9 Inch Nails and The Cure, amongst other people. I mean, man, it was a great soundtrack, guys. I mean, the 90s was great on music anyway. I don't care what anybody says. And I don't say that just because I am a product of the 90s. I say that because a lot of the music that came out of the 90s is badass. It's classics, and it will stand the test of time, and have already stood the test of time. I mean, some of these bands, Pearl Jam and 9 Inch Nails and Alice in Chains, well, you can't say a lot of these guys stood the test of time because they're not around anymore because they're all dead, Unfortunately, I mean, obviously Pearl Jam's not, but Alice in Chains, the lead singer died of an overdose, and of course Nirvana, maybe that's something else iconic about the 90s. All the band members off themselves or died of overdose. Anyway, great soundtrack for The Crow. I mean, absolutely fantastic. And I love it. And another thing that was really groundbreaking about The Crow that I love is the CGI that they used. In the early 90s, CGI was in its infancy. It wasn't being used a whole lot. And when it was being used, it was being used in a really, really crappy kind of way. It was not impressive at all. Yeah, I don't know why it won't let me take this control point, because I've killed everybody there. And it should certainly allow me to take this control point, but it's not. What they did when Brandon Lee died, during the making of the film, they had not completed the film, and there was great debate on whether or not to even release the movie. And they decided to. They decided to go ahead and release the film, and holy crap. And I'm glad they did. But they were really curious as to how to get around the fact that there were scenes that they needed to shoot with Brandon Lee, but Brandon Lee was dead as a doornail. So what do? And so they used CGI in the most brilliant way it had been used at that point in time. Again, in my opinion, but they took Brandon Lee's face and they superimposed it on a body double. This had never been done in Hollywood at that point in time, and certainly if it had, it hadn't been done successfully. And they did. They did it brilliantly. In fact, there are times in that movie where it's a body double and Brandon Lee's face, and you can't tell the difference. You wouldn't know. They did an amazing job with it. And they finished the movie, and they gave us a iconic superhero film from the 90s, on which there are very few. Like I said, I don't even know if there really were. I mean, you can take, and we're actually going to be reviewing this later on, guys, but the first Batman, with Michael Keaton, stuff like that. I mean, obviously you had some great superhero films that came out, but as far as the Crow goes, you can't miss it, guys. You can't beat it. And I'm not going to spoil the whole movie and tell you the ending. There are some great fight scenes. I mean, the gun battles in this movie, the grittiness of it, it's always wet. Everything in this movie is dark, it's night, it's raining, it's just gritty and grungy. And maybe that's a good thing too, considering the time period. You know, grunge and grit seemed to be our speciality. It was our bread and butter in the 90s, you know, the whole gothic scene, dressing in black and doing all this. It was really kind of a new thing. It drove parents crazy, you know, and you know, Marilyn Manson was just coming out on the scene, and Korn and all these bands that were dark and loud and gothic, and you know, everybody was dressing in black, and all the dudes were dressing in black and wearing eyeliner and stuff like that. And, you know, it freaked people out. It was just a whole different time period, you know. And the 90s. What can you say? I love the 90s. I miss the 90s. I think the 90s were better times in some certain ways. Cinema has improved. There's no doubt about it. But The Crow is one of those movies that came out of the 90s that cannot be underestimated or spoken about enough as far as I'm concerned. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. You can thank me later. But I think that's about it, guys. I'm going to read some comments because you know I love to read comments at the end of the video. I don't know what's going on with this control point. I don't know why it won't let me take this control point, but it's decided. Wait a minute. Well, now we can take this control point. What the hell? What in the hell? Look at that big dude. I'm sorry, dude, but you got to go. Oh my God, I'm on fire. I'm on fire. Here I was trying to wrap up, and these dudes so rudely did their thing with a thing. We're going to take care of these guys. We called for reinforcements, guys, so they should be on their way. They were already here. The game is glitching. Clearly, the game is glitching. Just when I was bragging on you, Division, about how much I was enjoying your game, and then you glitch on me and prove me wrong. So, yeah, don't hesitate, guys. Again, I say that you should own... Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. I say you should own... Oh, my God. Grenade. Oh, we're on fire. Hey, he's here. You dickhead. Oh, man. Why is this happening to me? What did I ever do to you people? Yeah, that's what I did to you people. That's right. When I'm done with you, I plan on sodomizing you. Socks! Oh, King Piggly, anything with that. Not the socks! Damn my eyes. Take my sister. Just leave the socks. Good Lord. These guys are relentless. Take that, you dirty animal. So, yeah, and that, you know, from my understanding, they've tried to remake The Crow several times now. You know, I know they've made sequels to the movies and this, that, and the other, and they're god-awful. No, they are absolutely terrible in every aspect, in every way, shape, or form. There is nothing, City of Angels, there is absolutely zero appeal to the Crow films that they put out after the first one. I do not recommend them. I do not endorse them. They are absolutely, positively god-awful. So please, by all means, don't say, hey, King Piggly said go see The Crow and go get like Crow City of Angels or some shit and say, Piggly, that was terrible. They are terrible. The original Crow with Brandon Lee will always be an amazing classic. I don't think they, you know, I've already even heard the guy that plays Aquaman, Jason Momoa, was in talks to play Eric Draven, to play the Crow, to take over for Brandon Lee, basically. I don't know. I mean, I'm not too big on him, to be honest. You know, as far as acting is concerned and movies are concerned, I mean, yeah, the dude is chiseled and he's built like a brick shithouse, but, you know, abs don't make you a great actor. And so, I don't know. You know, he was called, everybody's like, well, he was called Drogo in Game of Thrones, and you're like, he didn't speak. All he did was sit there and grunt at people, you know? I mean, that's not acting, guys. I really hate to tell you. And yeah, he's a damn good-looking dude. I mean, I'm not saying anything about that. This isn't King Piggly hating on the guy because he's an attractive fellow. I will totally embrace the fact that Jason Momoa could have my children. I would have his children like a seahorse. I would impregnate myself with Jason Momoa's super ab sperm and then carry his babies around full term in a pouch. Did I go too far? Was that a little creepy? Okay, strike that. Never mind what King Pigley said about that. I was just kidding. I would not carry Jason Momoa's children around like a seahorse. Again, I don't know why. I don't tend to speculate and this, that, and the other. You know, there's a lot of conspiracy theories. All right, we did it. There's a lot of conspiracy theories, you know, about the Crow and Brandon Lee's death and this, that, and the other. You know, I don't worry myself with that stuff, guys. It's not something I worry myself with. But let's read some comments, guys. Let's go on. Go see The Crow. If you haven't seen The Crow, Brandon Lee, go see it. You can thank me later, guys. Fantastic movie that came out in the 90s. Beautiful soundtrack. And wonderful CGI effects. For the time period, they did a great job. But some of the fight scenes they have in that are some of the best choreographed fight scenes in cinema, as far as I'm concerned. So go check it out. But let's read some comments. All right, the first comment comes from Granny Gamer. Granny Gamer says, love your intro and really loved your energy. Well, thank you, Granny Gamer. I appreciate that. Thanks for coming by the channel. Thanks for leaving a comment. Thanks for enjoying the video. I'm glad you liked it. And the next comment comes from Green Plantain. Green Plantain says, great review of a classic. It's Arnold being Arnold, and it goes so hard. Okay. Good choice with this game. Well, thank you. I really appreciate that, Green Plantain. It is Arnold being Arnold in Conan the Barbarian. There's no doubt about it. And as far as it going hard, okay. I don't know what you mean, but it sounds naughty, and I like it. Anyway, thank you for your comment, Green Plantain. I really appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time to watch, man. Come by and leave that comment. And that goes for the rest of you. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I really appreciate it. If you are not a member of King Pigley's Court, please hit that subscribe button. Keep coming back and hanging out with King Pigley here on Gaming Imperfectly, the most imperfect gaming channel known to man, where it is completely okay to be a goober, to mess up, guys. Life is imperfect, and this is the place that we can be that. You know, nothing has to go right. Lord knows nothing ever goes right on Gaming Imperfectly. Look at the Control Point. Prime example. But anyway, if you haven't done it yet, also hit that like button for King Pigley, guys. Let's get this video up to 20 likes. We can do it together. Remember, inclusion, not exclusion is the key. And please, include the like button and all that clicking you're doing. If you're hitting the subscribe button and you're hitting the bells and you're hitting all this stuff, hit that like button. Let's get this video up to 20 likes. We can do it. Together we can. And also, yeah, that reminds me, click the bell. If you haven't clicked the bell, you're subscribing to King Pigley's channel already. If you're already a member of King Pigley's Court and come back day after day to Gaming Imperfectly, I hope you've clicked that bell. But get the notifications, guys, because you don't want to miss out on the next absolutely imperfect video from yours truly, the most imperfect host on YouTube, King Pigley. Why would you? You don't want to do that to yourself. But that's it for King Pigley today, guys. I am out of here, and I will see you guys in the next video.